Welcome back, subscribers. This is Johnny Hopper, and just a little disclaimer. If you don't want to hear me piss and moan, then don't watch the video. It's called MX Unfiltered for a reason. I try to bring some things to light that some other analysts, commentators, enthusiasts, spectators don't typically say. So with that being said, let's get right into it.
What chance does a privateer have?
Welcome to Supercross.
What do you say to a factory ride?
So in the 450 class, only 42 riders were trying to qualify, and they take 40 to the night show, so you get paid if you get down to 40. AC again, 7 weekends in a row, fastest qualifier with a 47.7. 250s, the man that came back from the broken back.
Here's the crash. Yeah, just him and Justin Cooper.
Fastest qualifier with a 48.9. Interesting, full second slower than the 450s on a smaller track. Whoops, sand maybe, having a little bit more torque, able to push through the sand. Even though we all know that a factory 250, we would love to have because it would beat a stock 450 any day of the week. There was 59 riders trying to qualify, so quite a bit harder to get down to that 40. Let me talk about some of the things I didn't like about the track. For one, the sand. It seemed everyone struggled with the sand. I don't know if anybody has ridden in beach sand. It's terrifying, all right? Yes, you can just hold the throttle wide open and the bike goes, but once you get a little bit of a small rut, that bike is going where it wants to go. If you've ever landed in sand, you know that that stops you immediately. Sometimes you go over the bars. Anytime you even let off the gas, the bike feels like you hit the brakes. And not to mention when you have suspension that when you push down won't move because it's set up for Supercross whoops, which are, you know, about waist high. I'm 5'8", 5'9", so about waist high. They're pretty freaking big. So you need to have that really stiff suspension, and having really stiff suspension does not help with the sand. And then the rest of the track here in Tampa looked as if it was pretty soft right on top, but then once I got down to the base layer, extremely blue groove and slippery. You saw right after that sand section, everyone was almost getting ready to high side, let off the gas, bike switches back, boom.
It gives me wiggles and it makes my bones shake. I said, if I should touch you, might be electrocuted. Deep in your body, you will get your first taste of.
Right after the sand section, I didn't like that little step on, then quad off, double. I feel they could have designed that a little bit differently to have a different sort of a rhythm through there where it didn't seem one line. So I thought the track seemed very easy. Yes, there's a little bit of irony here because the whoops were a small set of whoops, but they were taking people out too just because how cupped out they were. And then you had the sand section. So those two were determining factors of the race. I mean, argue with me if you want. Comments are down below. But if you look at the rest of the rhythm sections, they were very easy for the riders. You know, maybe not a retired guy like me go up there. It might take me all damn day to figure out the double, triple, or, you know, wheel tap, triple, whatever it might be. Probably take me all damn day. I couldn't do it in a qualifying session of 10 minutes. That's just my ability level. And speaking of the whoop, TV does not do it justice. For one, they don't look that big on TV. But then again, the riders don't look that big on TV either. I'm telling you, they're about waist high. If you're standing right in the middle, they're about 10, 12 feet apart from each other and very round at first. But if the dirt is pretty soft, it's going to get cupped out. And about 2 inches below, you're going to get these huge cups. And if you have 80 of the best Supercross riders in the world all attacking the same 8 set of whoops, well, you're going to get these bigger cups and a bunch of different little itty bitty lines. So if you're not completely straight, it's going to kick you side to side, which we saw a lot. And some of the really, really fast guys, well, there's that inch or two above the cupped out holes that those guys will enter these whoops, somebody like a Malcolm Stewart or a Tomac that are just really good with whoops, to stay above the cupped out. And you'll see riders try to go to the far inside and far outside to try to stay out of the main lines where there's the deepest holes inside the whoops. And then I also saw a bunch of people complaining about that there was only 8 of them. It was a fairly small set of whoops. A lot of people think that you should have 12 to 13 set of whoops, but we've seen that before and it didn't seem like that worked out quite as well. It's a happy medium. You're never going to make everybody happy. Go figure. After that funny step on quad double, you turn right and then a pretty big seat bounce triple if you can do it. But interesting enough, we saw a bunch of the 250s go kind of jump on to the second one, which is taller, then jump off as a double, then you could seat bounce and triple, which seemed like the faster way to do it as opposed to go double, and then hit that triple. I was surprised that I didn't see anybody try to wheel tap it, where they just jump up and barely tap and get over the third one. Just because on this channel we did give away $1,000 to Jared Lesser, we gotta throw his name out there. Congratulations to him qualifying 29th in the 450 class, and unfortunately in Heat 2 he got taken out. Wish him the best. Hopefully he's okay. I'll have to talk to him. He seems to be okay, but that ended his night for sure. And then in the 250 LCQ, it was good to see Swole come up on Teasdale, kind of stop him through the whoops, and come from a complete stop and trying to accelerate through the whoops is extremely difficult. But they were able to get up there, and Teasdale, being a little bit taller, seemed like he was able to lean back a little bit more and get a little bit higher on top, and was able just to pass Swole, and then gave him the signature "f*** you" look over the finish line because he's in the main event. I personally rather enjoyed that. Very interesting to watch. And then I gotta piss and moan a little bit more about just the NBC Sports Gold package. I've said it before, if you're gonna charge us consumers $80, give us some stuff that we normally don't get. Yeah, you got the qualifying and kind of the race day show, which I like. That's good. Put that into the main program, because a lot of us probably don't watch the qualifying or the race day live. We just watch the main race because it's already 3 hours long and it's typically late at night. So during the commercial break, maybe just show the actual event itself, because there's interviews going on, there's the little fun races with the crowd. You know, maybe give it to the commenters, the announcers that are there actually at the race. Start filming them to give to us consumers. It's a thought, NBC, Feld, Monster Energy, AMA, whoever you guys are. Somebody's behind it. Somebody came up with this wonderful idea just to show the tractor going through. I might as well just mute the damn commercials. And be nice if that $80 went to the purse for the riders. You've heard me say this. These guys don't make anything. Absolutely nothing besides the elite riders. And in my opinion, all of these riders that are elite, anybody to hold their pro license is an elite rider. All right, you put them up together, the best in the world, and somebody like myself, they make me look silly, okay? But comparatively, me going to the local motocross track, there's a difference there. So these guys should get paid, 100th place in a golfing tournament. God, I don't know any much about golf.
Does your husband play?
They get paid considerably more than a motorcycle athlete that ideally, or not ideally, but probably has 20 grand or more in medical bills just in debt, not to mention whatever they put on their credit card to get to the damn race. Anyway, I'm digressing again. Moving on. So in the 250 main event, we had Smith come around the first corner, the left-hand sweeper, and ends up quadding into the next corner. I thought that was spectacular. Very well executed. I would have never done that. And he was the only rider that I've seen do that. God, Johnny, AC did it right there. Josh Hill. I know, I can't believe I haven't already talked about Josh Hill yet. Josh Hill qualifies 9th in his return race back on a 250 light spike. Yeah, we've seen him a little bit in a 450, but this is on a 250. And the man ends up with a 12th in the main event. Congratulations to him. I hope to see him on the podium. That would be amazing in the next few races. And interesting that there was not that many KTMs out there. There is no such thing as Troy Lee Designs KTM anymore. And unfortunately, it's because their number one rider, Brian, little kid, ended up going down on second lap of free practice and has a spinal cord injury. Team owner Michael Lindsay posted that he wasn't too happy with the Alpine Star medical unit because it's free practice, but it should still apply as if the race was going on with a red flag. I agree, to try to help this young kid out. This is a severe injury. This could be a career-ending injury for him. They should have stopped free practice and gotten him a medical attention sooner rather than later, rather than dragging him out, especially if it was a spinal cord injury. And his father had something to say when they got him to the hospital. I haven't seen any other update or GoFundMe. I will keep you guys posted as more information becomes available. We can all pray for him, pray for his family. I'm hoping this isn't going to be his last Supercross. And Shane seems to be liking that Yamaha with the win. And speaking of the Yamaha boys on the 250s, they seem to be just owning it. You got Ferrandis, you got Cooper in the west, and then you've got Shane on the east.
We just needed a change. And so now I'm here to take advantage of what the team's given me. They
just seem to be killing it. Absolutely killing it. And then in the 450s on supposedly one of the best bikes of 2020, according to Barsha and everybody that it's stock, they're not doing very well. Plessinger seems to be struggling after his ankle injury. I personally think, might not have a ride for next year. Barsha is sort of doing the Tomac thing where you're very hot and cold, but lately he's been more cold than hot. You know, last weekend he was trying to push around everybody. This weekend actually did fairly well coming from the pack with a hard charger award. I have to give it up to that. He needs to just get a good start. But they seem to be struggling on this factory Yamaha. Do they wish maybe that they went over to the KTM team with Cooper Webb and Marv? Because what did Webb do on the Yamaha? He seemed to struggle the entire time. What did Stewart do when he was on a Yamaha? It was a different team at that point, but it was that Sam and Yamaha, and then I think it might have been JGR at one point. But he didn't seem to do worth a damn with it, but he was saying that he couldn't get a factory ECU, which I understand. But I want to know what you guys think about the whole Yamaha situation, why the 450s guys are not doing as well as the 250 guys. Comment down below. Martin, after breaking his back with a third.
Like you said, it's been a long time to be back up here, and I didn't expect to be fastest qualifier.
Got to give it up to that dude. He was sitting on the fence, something that we all do, something that I've done on this channel where you're just going, what do I do after racing? And these guys are guys that have money in the bank from racing. They have a little bit better idea of, oh crap, maybe not a better idea. They just have a little bit more wiggle room as far as what they want to do with racing. But when you go to retire, most of us didn't go to college. Most of us didn't even finish high school. Most of us were homeschooled. All we know is racing, and it kind of put us into this elitist headspace where everyone was giving us stuff. Your goggle guy, your mechanic guy, everybody. It was all about you when you were racing. And now in the real world, nobody gives a shit because you're treated equally. Maybe we should treat these riders a little more equally during their career so that they don't end up with problems, psychological, emotional, mental problems. It's kind of the same thing. Should be kind of a stepping stone. And Owens and Peters on this Phoenix Honda. These guys are the dudes that are doing the Kicker Arena Cross, which is turning into what the Amsoil Arena Cross used to be. These guys pretty much have won every race. Owens won the Kicker Series last year. This was their first race in the East Coast. They said they were going to race the majority of the East Coast, and they ended up with a 7th with Peters, with Kyle Peters, and 11th with Owens. I think that's a pretty good showing for that Phoenix Honda. And Hampshire saying that he's got a torn meniscus and ACL. Oh my God. Anybody out there that has ever done that stuff, surgery is a must to feel stability unless you wrap it with all that kinesiology tape and, you have a... God, what is the drug that they give these riders for pain? Anyway, I give it up to him to be racing with that kind of an injury. Do I think Supercross might be a little bit easier than motocross? Yes, because the ruts aren't going to be as bad. Your chances of putting your foot down aren't going to be as high just because of all the rhythms you're jumping. And yes, there's ruts in Supercross, but if you stay on the bike, chances of you putting your foot down are less than in the outdoor motocross. And I know him. Right now he's on a factory team. He's doing the best he can with what he has with his body in the condition it is to try to finish out this season. So bummer for him, but I don't know if he's going to race the motocross nationals with those kind of injuries. I think he should get... This industry throws you out so quickly. I completely understand him trying to stay in and do some good finishes so that he can get a ride for Supercross next year. And then Anderson in the 450 class. What is up with this guy? This 2018 champ, is Team Fried getting to his head too much? He hasn't been finishing very well. And I don't think it's the lack of trying. But if you watch any of his YouTube stuff, it's debatable. Not to mention he was docked 2 positions at the end of the race on the last corner. At the end of the race. At the last... At the last corner, we had Mookie come in and punt him off the track. He actually missed the whoops and just went straight for the finish line. Got docked 2 positions. So as opposed to finishing 8th, he finished 10th. So AC moved up from 9th to 8th. And it's interesting that AMA docked him 2 positions, Thurman and Bailey, for missing the corner after the sand section. They only docked those riders 1 position. The offense to me seems pretty much the same. Fall off the track. The rules state you have to get on as safely as possible, whenever as possible. So that thing is whole debatable. It's like these judge sports. When you have a judge involved, things don't always seem to be black and white. And then the next rider I'm talking about is AC. Fastest qualifier again, but he keeps having these small mistakes. We saw it in his heat race with Ken, mess up in the sand, luckily didn't go down. And then in the main event, solid 2nd place with some good starts, ends up crashing in the whoops. Can he put it all together? I know this race was considerably longer because the lap times were 48, 49 seconds, so we were around that 25 laps again. Can he manage to handle the pressure over that longer period of time as opposed to the 15 minutes in the 250 class? Not to mention, I think the dude has gained like 30 pounds in 3 months. No pun intended. It's got to do a little bit to your fitness. And I am just rambling on here. I know my video has been a little bit shorter, so I figured I'd go back to maybe a little bit of this format, make things a little bit longer, talk about some more stuff for all of you out there. Kenny qualifies 3rd.
And I was happy with how my day went. I was pretty consistent throughout the day, and I didn't really get the good starts tonight. I think I just lifted my body up a little bit too much and was a little bit deeper in the packs.
Did have to do anything with his ankle. He seems to be managing the championship extremely well. Ends up with a 3rd tonight. Not the best of starts. Guy needs to get a little bit better starts if he wants to run with those top guys, because he's obviously not the fastest guy on the track. But put in the right position, he's got racecraft, I would say, close to Webb's. He's older, he's more mature, which Tomac should probably learn from this guy as far as being older and more mature to win some championships. He's doing what he needs to do to put himself in a good position. And I like his attitude on the podium saying, hey, he's only 4 points out. That's not the end of the world. We're 7 races out of 17. I'm still in it. And track super slippery off the triple. Just looks like he was trying to force the motorcycle and push it, and the bike just kind of pushed out on him and he went down. But he was still able to get up, finish third. Webb comes off not a career, but a season best win last weekend. Finishes second. Got a gift from AC and Roxon both crashing. Qualified fourth, I believe. So his qualifying times are getting better because usually he's almost outside of the top 10 in qualifying. I think he managed it very well. I think he looking at maybe potentially the whoops going, oh, there's only 8 of them. It's going to work in my advantage. If you could make the best rider, you could kind of put Webb's head with Tomac's ability to wick it up when it really matters in the main event, and then like AC speed, you'd have another James Stewart in the early 2000s where nobody could even touch him. So just moving to Tomac, I said it in my video last weekend that the dude could just win by 15 seconds at any given weekend. Well, he sort of did that this weekend, you know, just all of a sudden just pops out a W. It blows my mind. And I believe it blows a lot of people's minds.
You know, I know the red plate's, you know, it's got a lot of pressure, but, you know, I definitely, you know, would like to have it. You know, I've been chasing the thing for 3 years now, it seems like, so.
But can he do it the next weekend? It's kind of tough. You're almost gambling with Tomac because you want him to win every weekend because he's fast enough to win every weekend. He's got all the right traits to win every weekend, but for some reason he gets in his own way and he doesn't win every weekend. And I think he might be listening to everybody around him and calming himself down and realizing sometimes it's just not his night. He doesn't need to win or lose. It's not the Ricky Bobby syndrome.
Teacher wants you to go slow, and she's wrong, because it's the fastest who gets paid, and it's the fastest who gets laid.
Because it's getting harder for him to win a championship. He's becoming an old man in Supercross at the young age of 28. I believe he's 28. And these guys are getting faster, so he's running out of time to win the championship. So this is his prime year to do just that, so he doesn't go down in history as the winningest rider to never win a premium championship. I don't know what the future holds, so next year he could potentially win the championship too. He could go on a next 4-year winning streak. But, and just to ending this, Brock Tickle, 2-year suspension. I said in my last video, if he gets a top 10, it's a super win. He got a 12th. Pretty close. If we just do simple math, 10, 12, 2. Pretty close. Pretty close. When he qualified 15th, I think he rode extremely well. Made that Suzuki look good. And I don't like Suzukis. Bro!